on this computer. Do you see that we are recording the session? Okay, all good. I will admit everybody.
Oh, I thought there was the whole audience. I was a bit relieved, but apparently not.
I need to. Okay, can I quickly check if you guys can see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Actually, can I check that you guys can hear me as well? I'm not sure with my audio.
Yeah, good, Jason.
Perfectly.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so we are recording and we are sharing my slides. Possibly I should not click full screen, otherwise it's very difficult for me to monitor everybody. So hope that will do. All right, so welcome everybody to our very first ever session of Alumni Night of this year 2021. So we understand that if you are in Melbourne, it's unfortunate that we are entering another lockdown, and MUISS, we understand that it is a very difficult time, and we understand that you may have some difficulties to adapting into this news. So if you have any problem, like if you have any issues or you're facing any mental challenges, feel free to reach out to MUISS. We are always here to help, and we definitely will direct you to the correct way to get help from a lot of services, a lot of helpful services from both university and maybe external services as well. And welcome to Alumni Night. So today is the Alumni Night that we will focus on engineering and IT, the two huge faculties at Monash University, Clayton. And we have a total of 4 alumni here. And I'm not here, 2 of them from engineering and 2 of them from IT. So we are very fortunate. And now before giving it to the alumni, I just want to quickly show you the agenda of the night. So the first thing that we will do is that I will pass it to ISE. ISE stands for International Student Engagement. So ISE has been helping us a lot for this alumni night together with alumni engagement, and we also love to hear from them about their support towards international students. So now I will quickly stop sharing, and I will introduce Hannah Kim from ISE to quickly present a bit about the international student engagement at Monash University.
Hi everyone, it's really good to see you all. Well, hopefully we can see some of you tonight, but yeah, I think you're doing a really good thing, just getting to hear stories from other alumni and figuring out what you're going to do with your future. Like, I think it's definitely a really good move, and these sessions are super valuable. So I would highly recommend that you suggest other friends to come along. Can everyone see my screen okay, the presentation?
Yep, we are seeing it.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to run through some things just really quickly. As John mentioned, I'm from the International Student Engagement team at Monash, and our team is all about helping students. So from when they enroll all the way until their last semester, just seeing you through. To give you a bit of an idea of what we do, I'm just going to run through some things really quick. Sorry, it's not changing slides, so let's just do that. Perfect. So basically my team works as part of Monash Connect, and we do everything from your everything related to international students. So we don't do the administrative things that you can see on this page, like changing your enrollment or anything. But what we do help is with financial challenges. We help if you're having issues with studies. We help if you're having personal challenges in your life, or if you have financial challenges that you need help with, like connecting you to community support, connecting you to services and programs throughout the community. We have really good relationships, obviously with MUISS, but also a lot of other community services. So like in times of rental stress, or if you're having trouble with day-to-day expenses, these are the kinds of things that we can help with. So I'm not sure how many of you are in Australia versus overseas, but no matter where you are, our team is able to help you out. If you're a local student, you're thinking, oh, but I'm a local, sorry, you should all be international students. My mistake. You all should be international students, so we're all able to help you. You definitely should be in the right place. That said, if you know of a local student that needs help, still refer them to us and we'll point them in the right direction for support. So we'll never turn anybody away. Really important thing is kind of that we provide free confidential advice. So if you do need support from us, you can reach out to the team. I'll drop our email in the chat, but basically can have a one-on-one chat with us. Tell us what's going on for you. We don't send the information to your academics or teachers or your parents. It's totally confidential. And basically what we do is try to figure out where are you and how can we get you to where you want to be. And that can mean different things for different people. One of the other things I do actually as part of my role is I run the Monash Global Ambassador Program, which some of you may or may not have heard of. If you still have some time left in your degree, I definitely would recommend trying to sign up for it. A lot of the students that have worked with me as part of the ambassador program have gone on to get jobs at the university and externally. One of them actually has like 3 jobs in 3 different departments of the uni. So yeah, it tends to have really good job prospects. And it's really good because you get to work on really high profile events and programs that we run that have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of students, and we work really close with MUISS and all the other areas of the uni. So one to look out for, and again, I'll drop it in the chat afterwards. But we run a lot of events. But one thing that's super relevant for those in their final semester or coming to their final year is we hold free visa information sessions. So if you're thinking of maybe either staying in Australia or like considering other visa types that you could qualify for, it's definitely one that we would recommend. I know that MUISS also does free visa sessions in the past too, so you should hopefully be able to make it to at least one of the sessions that are available. So I want to point that out to everybody. Rental rights, this is a big deal, particularly for those in Australia. So if you are in Australia, there is the MRS off-campus team. If you need help, if the advice is completely free, completely confidential, you're having issues with the landlord or anything like that, you can seek help from them. Or if you're overseas and you're thinking about, oh, what's it like to rent in Australia? What kind of places would I live in when the borders open? What do I do with rental contracts? I would really, really encourage you to reach out to them. Some students can lose money because they get involved in properties and they can't move in there, or they've had issues in the past with landlords. So it's really, really good to know that that team is available to support you if you need it. So like one of the things that has happened is because people signed up to rental accommodation and then the borders closed, they could get stuck having lost money. So we might be able to do something about that to help you out of that situation. So just some examples to think of, which I'd encourage you to all look into. Graduations and visa advice. I've already mentioned this. A lot of people, when they get to their final year, they want to get letters and that kind of thing. Hot tip on the letters side, you can get proof of completion letters or enrollment verification letters from Monash Connect through your web enrollment system or WES. I would highly recommend getting digital letters. They're really a lot cheaper. And typically now in the COVID era, your employer won't really mind if it's digital. So just something to look out for. I think it's like $12 compared to 30 something dollars. So it's just definitely much better. And obviously you don't have to make copies and that kind of thing. Again, it is super risky if you're thinking about visa advice, whether you're here, if you're here primarily and you're thinking of going back home, be really careful. There's some definitely untrustworthy people out there. So if you do go to an agent, just check them out on this website, www.mara.gov.au. It's a register of all the migration agents in the country, and you can check, okay, there, are they not there? As I mentioned, my team does those free visa advice sessions. So if you still need, you're still stuck and still need help, we'll be hosting those soon. But if not, check this register out. Career Connect. So also part of our big team at Monash Connect is Career Connect. I really, really want to stress taking advantage of all the services they have to offer, like their how-to workshops, they're finding a job page. So they have job opportunities available both locally and overseas. It really makes a big difference. The thing I always tell students is that in a pile of resumes, you might just be another student. Even if you get really good marks, even if you get really good grades, you need to think about how to make yourself stand out more. So I would really recommend the Career Connect services. The other thing I would suggest, if you have time left in your degree and you haven't thought of doing it, and I know the alumni might speak about their experiences, is do as much volunteering and community work as you can. It's one thing to be a really great student and have really great marks, but people need to like you as a person. You need to be likable. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about a lot. It's something that I constantly talk to students about. I can definitely guarantee that every student that I've helped get a job is because I like them. Obviously, they're capable, but I like them and I believe in them. So I really hope that you'll all consider doing some kind of volunteering or some kind of community work, even if it's just an hour or two here or there. It doesn't have to be a really intensive commitment, but you need to start thinking about how can you make yourself stand out in a competitive market and how can you build networks. Rather than just asking people for opportunities, it's so much nicer if you meet them coincidentally through volunteering or through some other thing where you're helping rather than just asking for favors. So just something to think about as you approach thinking about, your future life and future career, something that has worked really well for me and I would recommend for everybody. Just finally, that's really it. I didn't want to spend too long talking because I know you have a lot to cover tonight. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. That's my team email address. So if you have any questions for me, like I said, my name's Hannah. I'm super happy to help anyone. Like, don't worry if you're unsure if I'm the right person to speak to. No matter what your question, I'll definitely help you find the right place to go for help. And I just want to say, like, well done, everyone. I know it can be hard to be motivated, and like even the fact that you're here tonight doing this is just something really cool that you should feel proud of, that you're taking steps in a really good direction to create a good future for yourself. So yeah, just a big thank you to John and the MUISS team for putting the amazing session together. It's always so cool to see their work, and yeah, just here for you if and when you need us.
Thank you so much, Hannah. So Hannah has been the nicest person that I ever met and I've never worked with. So I strongly recommend that if you have any issues and if you need any help from the ISE, and I believe like other staff at the ISE will be as nice as Hannah. So feel free to reach out to them. I guarantee that like they can offer you a lot of things that you never expect. And again, thank you so much for joining us today, Hannah. And thank you so much, ISE, for supporting MUISS on this event, not only this year, but like for 2-3 years in a row already. Thank you so much. Now I want to pass it to Jason. Jason is an alumnus at Monash. He was like me, did engineering and then IT at Monash. And we were very lucky to have Jason today. For your information, Jason was with MUISS for 4 years as a committee, 2 of which he has been appointed as the president of MUISS. So today we are very happy to have our ex-president back with us to talk about what he's feeling about like his graduate life. And again, thank you so much, Jason. And it's yours. Feel free to share any of the content that you prepare.
Thanks, John. I was actually just about to introduce myself as such, so thanks for stealing my thunder, mate. But it's really nice to see everyone. It's nice to be a part of a MUISS event again. I think it's been a year and a half for me ever since I graduated. Let me just share my slide. So first of all, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we are seeing it very well.
Cool. And I just made it full screen, just for no distraction, and everyone is still fine with it. Yeah. All good. All right, cool. So, yep, like John said, I did a Bachelor of Electrical Engineering and a Bachelor of Science, and my specialty was in computer science. So it was a 5 years degree, and I started out back in 2015, which I finished up in 2019, in December 2019, and got ready for my first graduate job in 2020, just when COVID hit. So that was nice. I come from Vietnam, and at the moment, I am a senior consultant at EY in the data and analytics team. My specialty is in data engineering. So working with data, processing data from one source to another, that kind of stuff. So you can see it's probably not as aligned with exactly what I've been studying, which is electrical engineering and computer science. But at the same time, you never know where life really takes you. My passion outside of the crazy world, there's work and COVID at the moment. So my passion is fitness. I try to exercise as much as I can. Back in uni, it was a lot easier. I could go like 5 times a week, no issue. Nowadays, a lot less, thanks to work commitments and also the fact that we can't go out anymore. So I just walk everyone through my journey from when I started my studies at Monash, what I've been doing at university. Like Hannah said, volunteering has been a very, very much a cornerstone of how I got into my graduate job. So definitely keep your eyes out for volunteering. And then I will be talking about my first job at KPMG. So I wasn't always with EY, I was with KPMG first. But then I moved on to become a senior consultant at the EY data analytics team. So in 2015, and I don't think I've told many people this, but I was actually here in Australia when I was 15 years old, and I did VCE here. So I did year 10, 11, 12. And after VCE, I decided to start my double degree in electrical engineering and computer science at Monash. But I guess that's not a very interesting story to tell. So I'll tell my story more on the side of what I've been doing outside of the university courses. So during my first year, in order to just wanting to make some friends at university, I actually joined a volunteer group called the RoboGals Monash. Now, for any of you here who don't know, RoboGals is an organization that aims to promote STEM participation from girls, school girls. What we did was we would go to schools and hold robotics workshops in order to inspire girls to, more consider STEM as a viable career path. As you all have probably noticed that there is a heavy underrepresentation of girls in engineering and in sort of anything technical fields. So that was in my first year, and in my second year, I became a lead demonstrator at RoboGals. So in terms of a lead demonstrator, basically I run the workshops and I manage the other volunteers on the workshop, which led me into my second year. Actually, to backtrack a bit, during my first year, because I was actually younger than 18, I wasn't 18 at that point yet. And Monash at that time, I'm not sure if it's still there, but I'm sure it's still there. At that time, for any student who is younger than 18, we had a sort of counseling session, a one-on-one with a Monash University staff. So I went to that one, I think once per month, and we just have a catch up and have a chat. And he one day just told me, "Oh, have you heard? We actually have an international students sort of club committee here at Monash." And I was thinking to myself, well, that sounds interesting. I want to go and check what that's all about. And so he led me to the MUISS lounge. And that was my first time in my first year back in 2015. That was introduced MUISS. However, at that time, I wasn't actually a part of MUISS yet. I started to volunteer there at MUISS here and there, creating some posters, running a bit of events here and there. But my main work was still with RoboGals. So my second year, I've decided to join MUISS as a volunteer, and my RoboGals work picked up. I became a training manager. So my job then was actually not so much to run workshops anymore. Running workshops was still there, but my job was more around training up new volunteers, guiding people to become lead volunteers, professionally develop them, and also making connections with schools in order to get us more workshops, more visibility. And then in my third year, I became MUISS president, which was very well. I guess it was a bit of a shock for me because I didn't actually run for president. The president at the time, I think she had to quit because of some other commitments. And so at that time, I was actually going for I think it was education officer. John, I think that's what you are now, yeah. So I was education officer for just about a month or so, and then I became president. And so that was a very interesting year for me, finally getting to advocate for students and all that stuff. Going to meetings with the vice chancellors, everything was like a dream, basically. And I have learned a lot from managing people. I've learned a lot from organizing events. I've learned a lot from managing stakeholders, external stakeholders, and everything that I've learned there, I have been able to bring into my first year as a graduate, and even now as a senior consultant at EY. So my journey with MUISS ended in my fourth year of university after my second time being president. And in my last year of uni, I didn't do much, to be perfectly honest. I just did my work. I tried to graduate, do my FYP, all that stuff. And then I graduated from Monash. But before that, let me tell you about the process of me trying to get that first job at KPMG. It wasn't a smooth journey. In fact, KPMG was the only company that came back to me and told me that I got into the interview stage. And KPMG was also the only one who obviously took me as a graduate. And I have applied for, let me tell you, over 100 places before I even got an interview with one company. I've never ever made it past the CV and resume stage. So that for me was, yeah, it was quite a life-changing moment when I got accepted as a graduate at KPMG. And so after my graduation at Monash, I went and worked as a graduate at KPMG. That was my first job. That was actually my absolute first job ever. I've never worked anywhere before, have always been rejected for all the internships, all the vacation works, rejected for absolutely everything. And my first year at KPMG was quite interesting because the first project that I got put on was actually with the COVID response with DHHS. So I've spent an entire year as a KPMG graduate working for the response, developing reporting solutions, working with the clients. And I've been able to apply a lot of the skills that I've built during my time at MUISS as a consultant now, because back at MUISS, I'll be having meetings with Vice Chancellor, I'll be having meetings with university staffs, executives, and also outside organizations where I'm representing an organization. And my goal was to advocate for students back then, but now my goal is to talk to clients in order to progress a project, in order to understand more about their business processes. So everything was going just as I had wished it would. So after my first year at KPMG, I was very fortunate to meet a manager. She was working at EY, and she actually referred me for another position and a promotion as well within EY. And so I made the decision to basically jump ship. It's just something that just happens all the time in consulting, apparently. But in 2021, after I finished up my engagement with DHHS, I went over to EY as a senior consultant, and at the moment I'm working on another client building a data platform. So yeah, that's basically my journey all the way from when I started my studies at Monash until I graduated, got my first job, and now becoming a senior consultant at EY. Oops, here you go. So I guess that's the end of my journey, and I just want to reiterate that for you international students feeling like, you know, I understand it's COVID, you can't go out, you can't meet friends, and I guess a lot of the university experiences are built based on meeting people, based on attending events, and I guess it is a big loss. It is a big loss to not be able to do these kinds of things. But I do hope that you know, through these at least virtual events that MUISS are holding, that you'll be able to still be able to make friends, still be able to get that social connection that is so vital to the entire university experience, and especially when you're so far away from home as well. And I would just like to give a few words of encouragement that I understand that times are hard and the job market is also hard, but that there is the light at the end of the tunnel. There is all of your effort going through university, doing your volunteer work, it does pay off in the end, because that was actually the one thing that the interviewer at KPMG was impressed with, was my volunteer work. Thank you so much. And if I'm just going to open the floor to any questions if we've still got time. How are we doing for time, John?
We're doing very well. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So because Q&A we will leave at the end of the session. So if you can stay, and we will collect questions from the chat box. So to attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box. My team will definitely collect all of your questions, and we will address that at the end. Regardless that the question towards ISE or any alumni today. So thank you. Can I thank you so much for joining us, and also for sharing those very nice reflection of your journey, Jason. I really appreciate that, and definitely MUISS and all attendees today really appreciate that you really honest and share all of your difficulties that you have been through. Thank you so much. Now, can I?
Thanks, John.
Luna. Luna was also is also an alumni of Monash in IT. Am I right?
Yeah. I was doing IT. Yeah.
So now I want to introduce Luna to you guys, and hope that she can share some insight of her journey, and also her job hunting time.
Cool. So am I okay to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I'm Luna, and I am wait, I can see some really, can you guys see there was like the Zoom thing on my screen? Okay, just 1 second. Yeah, so as I said, I graduated from Monash University in 2019, and I was actually doing Master of IT at that time. So today, I'm just going to share my journey with you guys about my first 2 years in the IT industry. And I also have several tips for all the students who join, and hopefully it will be useful for you guys. So let's start from the beginning. So in 2019, when I was graduated from Monash, I actually got a job offer from a startup doing junior software engineer. So as you guys know, maybe Jason shared his experience with really like good companies, but for me, it's just a startup with 30 people there, right? So it's nothing really excited about, but I also got through the recruitment process, got this like my second offer, and I was really excited to join the industry. And the industry we're doing is called customer experience industry. So basically we send out surveys for customers and collect the responses And we are dealing with businesses, right? For example, Westpac and childcare centers, etc. So after 2 years, and now I am a mid-level software engineer in the same company. So I didn't change company. And for me, the biggest highlight last year is that we have the yearly Resonate kind of awards, because we have 4 company core values, and I was actually nominated by all the company employees to be one of the best team player and also one of the Wizard Award winner. So that's really like kind of acknowledgement for my hard work put in the company in the last 2 years. And I also like to share knowledge with other people. So I have my personal blog, which is lunawen.com. And I also like to write wiki internally. So I initiated, and also I was driving the company technical team wiki document writing process. Apart from that, I'm also a tech team lead now. So for me, I actually have started the recruitment and hiring procedure. So I am managing several interns now, and some of them are actually recruited by me. So I was kind of testing my recruitment capability by working through all the process, and then have someone actually onboarded, and I'm checking whether what I am seeing is actually correct. So I'm trying to see whether I can find a perfect match for the company, right? So I am doing some management thing at the moment. And this is just a screenshot from our company. So we were doing like kind of a female leadership promotion, and I'm really glad to be one of the female leaders in Resonate. So maybe you are thinking how, right? Because it's just 2 years and I have accomplished these kind of things. I know it's not like super, extraordinary, but I also feel very proud of myself for achieving that in just 2 years. So today I just want to share several milestones I have accomplished for my last 2 years, because I always try to look back to my journey, and I always try to figure out what I have done correct, what I have done wrong, and then I learn from that. So today it's more about sharing my journey or the lessons I learned in the past 2 years after I have a job. So maybe Jason has shared more about how he got a job, right? So I'm sharing the other part. So maybe you guys can think about, what if you have got a job, and what are you going to do in terms of starting your career? So the first milestone for me is actually to survive the probation. So believe it or not, it's actually not that easy in a startup. So in a startup, you are expected to do everything quickly, and you are expected to learn from other people. There's not very formal procedure. You just need to figure your way out, right? So in this period, it's usually 6 months. For me, it's 6 months. And I think the best thing I learned in that period is I always need to give my best. So I know there are a lot of questions you want to ask during the onboarding process, and sometimes you feel it's silly questions. Maybe I should just keep it to myself. Don't let others find out I don't know anything. But it's actually a very precious period for you to ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, after 2 months, people will expect you know everything, right? So they will be like, okay, why didn't you ask this at that time? So always ask questions during your onboarding procedure. That's one of the tips I want to share with you guys. And another thing is just communication. You need to constantly communicate with your managers. You need to communicate with your peers. So this is very important. And you need to actively observe the others. So you don't just focus on your work. You also try to check what are the others doing. Maybe see what's your manager doing every day, right? What are the meetings he's joining, and try to just learn from that. So the main thing in the probation period is company engagement and fitting. So for me, because I've got 2 interns here and I'm also their manager, so when I'm looking at their performance during this internship period, I just want to make sure they actually fit in the team and they ask the right questions. So this is something we are looking for as managers. And the most important thing is you just need to keep learning. There are a lot of new knowledge you don't know in your uni, but you need to have that knowledge to be able to do your work. So I think initially you need to just spend more time on making up the knowledge holes in your skill and try to just perform as good as other people. So after you survive that probation period, now it's the milestone 2. So for me, I think the second milestone is just you need to earn others' trust. This is important because when you can get things done, when you can actually perform very good, your productivity is good, then people start to trust you. And you need to focus on not only quality, but also speed. So both are important. And this is the time you just need to make sure all the tasks assigned to you are completed with quality and speed. And then you earn the trust by the other team members. But it's always like perfectly okay or normal to make a lot of mistakes. Believe it or not, I made a lot of deployment mistakes. So there are several bad things happened for my PBIs. But I always try to just, when I feel down, I just try to stand up and try to learn from my mistakes. And I'm not just learning from my mistakes, I also try to learn from others' mistakes. So if you see your colleague doing something wrong, it's a good time for you just to learn from their mistakes. So this is the time you try to grow and you try to run faster. So after that milestone 2, you have earned your team trust. So what's the next step? For me, the next step is just to become a domain expert. What do I mean by this is that you need to try to observe the others. You need to try to think about the bottleneck of the team, and you need to be able to identify the pain points. For example, when I was working in the developer team, I always feel people have questions about daytime, like we are dealing with global clients, right? And daytime offset is never easy thing for developers. So I feel that no one actually knows it good. And then I spent about 2 months just using my own time to figure out what this actually does. How do we handle daytime correctly? How do we ingest Excel files correctly? So these are the pain points. And then I actually use that knowledge to help my team members to do their work. So this is try to make others' life easier. So this is about teamwork. Milestone 2 is about yourself, is about your performance, but this milestone is about try to help the others and make their life easier. So these are the things I have learned in the last 2 years. And I hope you guys can, try to imagine what you're going to face when you actually join the workforce, right? So just a recap, the stage 1 is that you need to fit in the company, you need to, stand still. And then the second stage is you need to focus on your own performance. And the third stage is that you really need to try to become a domain expert and try to help the others. So yeah, that's my presentation. And if you guys want to hit me up with any questions, just connect me with my LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an inspiring presentation from Luna. Unfortunately, time is finite, so we will have to quickly move on to our third alumni, that is Adam. Adam, can you help me quickly share your screen?
Yeah, sure, John. Give me a sec just to share my screen.
No worries at all.
Yep. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, let me just. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining today, and John as well, and the team to inviting me to this event tonight. So let me just explain a bit about myself. My name is Adam Baffen. You can just call me Adam. So what I'm going to talk about today is basically just to explain a brief explanation about my program profile, my career journey, and just a tips to some of the students also for how to understand the markets, and then later on we can just proceed with the Q&A. Okay, so first of all, let me just walk you through about my background. I'm from Indonesia. So I initially come to Melbourne in 2013 as part of the Diploma Engineering in Monash College. I started my study from Diploma Part 1 and progressing to Diploma Part 2 until 2015. And then afterwards, I joined the second year in Monash University, and I've decided at the time to do a Bachelor of Engineering. And after I finished my degree in Monash, I went back to Indonesia And as you guys might be aware, if you are Australian graduate, you might be able to join the Engineers Australia as a graduate member. And then since I'm working in Indonesia, I also registered to aspire to be the Institution of Engineering in Indonesia. So the last background about myself is might be different from country to country. But if you're working in Indonesia, you need to have like a registered profession degree. Like for instance, if you are a doctor, you might be graduated with Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Medical Science, but you need to pass your profession, to be able to practice as a doctor. And same goes with the lawyer, I believe. And in Indonesia, we have that law as well, if you want to practice as an engineer. Okay, so here's a brief explanation about my career journey. So if you see on my screen and presentation, you can see the year started at 2015. So I could explain in 2015, 17, and 18 is where I did a few of my internship. And the reason for that is because when I'm doing the study in mechanical engineering, and Jason might know this as well, but when you're studying engineering, everything is just too technical and too much calculations, right? And you might think to yourself, there's so many industries and this might not be practical application in the real world, right? Engineers won't do that much of calculation in details. So I tried to talk with a few of seniors, some people already working in the industry for quite some years. And then what they told me is so many, streams and work sectors in the engineering works you can explore. So you might to take a look in which part you're interested. So from that discussion, I started to look for a few internship. So the first internship I got is with Gaya Motor. It was a car manufacturing industry. So I worked in the welding and painting department as part of the manufacturing process. And then it gives me about an idea of the manufacturing industry and also how a factory runs, right? So at the time, it was good to have an insight on that because it surprised me how little engineering is involved in this work. Most of the project I've handled in this internship is like the project scheduling, manpower allocation, how you handle about the logistic issue and so forth. So it gave me an insight that not every technical aspect will be used when you're working as a professional, especially if you're working as an engineer. And then on 2017, I started my final year project. I reached out to a few professors. My professors offered me industry-based final year projects with Dollar Sweets, like a candy manufacturer in Pakenham. So I worked with them for about a year. I helped them to process the analysis on the new machine, the parametric studies, different setting out, and to determine which parameters is the most efficient to be used on the machine in terms of the production target and so forth. Okay, so it's not my last, but this is my last internship before I graduate. So my last internship before I graduate is with Cirebon Power in Jakarta. No, it's in Cirebon. This company is a coal-fired power plants. So at the time, they were building a new coal-fired power plants about 1,000 megawatts. So I intended to go on site to have an idea to work as a site engineer, as a field engineer, because as I said, this is a whole different industry and different fields you could work on. And I'm not sure at the time if I'm interested in specific segments. So I'm just trying to explore all the options that I got. And then after I finished this internship in Cirebon, I went back to Melbourne for my last semester. And afterward, I graduate, right? So before I finish my final semester, I think to myself, okay, what's the next step? Am I going to do, work in engineering or in their industry, FMCG, consulting, or even my own startups, or I can even pursue a master degree. I'm not sure about that because, if you haven't worked in the industry, then so many options you could have. You don't know what you like and you don't know what you don't like, right? So I think personally for me, my best interest is just to start work in the industry for quite some time. And before I can, I could secure my first full-time job, I work at the Hundreds Hydro in Jakarta as well. It's also an internship position while I'm waiting for the graduation before I could get my certificate and start applying for jobs and so forth, right? So this company is working as part of the renewable energy EPC contractors. It's a hydropower plant company. So they're the contractor design, they build, and they operate the facilities to provide energy to to Indonesian electricity provider. After working with this company, I found myself I might be interested to work with people, engineering, and also in different projects. So I started to do a bit of research of a few different engineering consulting firms in Indonesia. So I'm lucky enough, as Jason mentioned before, and Luna, we know how difficult to find our first jobs, right? So we applied to hundreds of jobs, and we might only get we got lucky to get into one interview, because you only need one job at the end, right? You don't need two or three or five. So MUISS is one of the company that kind enough to offer me the interview. I spoke to my principal engineer. He was very kind enough to not grill me with so many technical questions. So he more asked me about more, what's your vision, what's your experience, and as I mentioned before, all this experience before my first job is a way for me to explain myself and create a story and how to make myself interesting in terms of the employer, right? So lucky enough, I'm working as a mechanical engineer in MUISS, Indonesia. So I working as a design engineer at the time. It's a consulting firm. The sectors this company working is a building services designer, right? So I'm myself as a mechanical engineer, I'm focusing on the HVAC systems, where I get to design all the air conditioning, ventilation, and so forth in buildings, data centers, and so forth. And what's the interesting part for me when I'm working in this company is I got to, got a chance to design a green building, which I believe our generation is quite interested in. So after working for 2 years as a mechanical engineer, I find myself, okay, doing too much engineering, which is interesting, is great, but it's not the whole thing, right? At the end of the day, what the client was is making a profit. And if you're an engineer, but you don't know how the project will run, how the commercial issue, how the client thinks, how the contractors think, so it won't make you, much understanding of the project. So at the time, I was thinking to proceed myself with a more project management role. That's why I moved to 10,000, where I'm working as an assistant project manager now. So my role in this company is more kind of like the overall reviewer of the program. So I will be the liaison from the clients to interact with the authority, the contractors, also the suppliers, and how to ensure that the program is in their best interests, and also to be fair to the other party involved in the projects. So that's a brief explanation about my career journey. But I can't emphasize enough, when you're working in the industry, especially in your first 5 years, the most important thing that you need to find is your mentor and to find your interest, right? So even though I've been working in few different industry, it doesn't mean I know where my best interest is. So at the moment, I'm still looking out for myself, if it's engineering, project management, or even some other engineering sectors is my best interest for my future. So it will be very important for, just to, start to look what you're interested in. So if I could say to you, then my word of suggestion to all the students is don't wait to your 3rd or 4th year, but start your journey since day one. So you need to ask to a lot of people, presumably somebody who's worked in the industry, or maybe you can talk to the career counselor in Monash. They would be more than happy just to assist you, to connect you with some of their alumni who's working with the industry. And that's definitely gonna, give you a bit more of an idea, how you want to progress later on in your career. So as I said before, there's so many sectors in industry, right? So as a young professional or a student, you need to understand yourself, different markets and different business exists in that industry. So as an engineer, what I can suggest to you is get involved in engineering organization. There's a lot of it out there, but I'm just going to list a few. The one that I'm involved with is in Engineers Australia. It gave you a lot of webinars, trainings, and so forth. And recently, I also enrolled in the mentoring program in Engineers Australia. It helps me a lot just to ensure, I'm heading in the right way. So just good to connect with a lot of people, a lot of seniors. You can learn from them. Also, they can learn from you as a young person, because they might be in the industry for so long, they don't know how to change in the technology. Or also, if you're interested to work as a building service engineer, CIBSE is a Chartered Institution of Building Service Engineer. It's a UK organization, but it's known worldwide as well. So this also will, even though you're not interested to work in this, in this field, but if you are, it would be great just to know the people that involved in this organization. Why? Because you get an understanding, how the market works, which company you could go for, which company you should not go for, and yeah, there's a lot of different areas in the engineering itself. So it's good to connect with the, the industry player. Or last but not least, if you're working in the project management as I'm doing right now, there's always a project management institute, or you might do the PMP certification and so forth. It will also help you to, increase your credibility and just to connect people. Because at the end of the day, 80% five of the job are secured by networking, right? So one way of looking at it is, if I was, a company, I'm looking for somebody to work in my company, especially in graduate, I won't be putting, a lot of job advertising in the industry or in the website, or my engage with the headhunters, right? I would do this for a more senior position, because if you're looking for a graduate, basically graduates, there's hundreds of thousands of graduates just trying to look for a job, right? So if you could get a network in those industry or company where you can build your relationship with, it will help you more just to secure a job, because they know you well, they know you're doing interest in this industry, so it could help you to get a job. So I think that's one, a quick presentation for myself. I hope it gives you anybody who's in this, webinar or presentation a good help, just to understand from my standpoint. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have any question, please do let me know. Yeah, I'll get back to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't agree anymore about it. Networking point. So a lot of work that you can't find over on advertisement, they will not advertise for it, but they will recruit it internally. And I have been through this a lot, and a lot of internship that I secured before is also like via networking. So yeah, so thank you so much for Adam for sharing such an
Of
amazing
course.
point that we
No
definitely
worries.
need to know. Now I want to pass on to Laura. So Laura is an engineer. If I'm not wrong, you're working at Jacobs.
Yeah.
Or that's right. Yep. So we will hear from Laura to see like if we can learn anything, and I definitely know that we can learn a lot from Laura. And Laura is also a returning alumnus who did join us in Alumni Night 2020.
Yep.
So we are very, very honored to have you as a returning alumnus, and to once again like join us this year to share like what happened over 1 year, and possibly like share your journey once again to our new attendee and to MUISS once again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Jen, thank you so much for the invitation, and to your team. Are you all able to hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So I'll attempt to share my screen. Share, is that working?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Awesome, that's good. Uh, okay, no, too far away. So let me see if, okay. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Laura. I am originally from Colombia in South America. So a bit about myself. I enjoy so much outdoors activities, doing some sports. Lately, I am trying to learn mountain biking. So in my free time, you would find me on the mountain bike trails here in Queensland. I'm based in Brisbane, which is an amazing place to live. And yes, I am an engineer. A bit about my journey. So I did a bachelor's degree in civil and environmental engineering at my home country. There, I think from my bachelor's time, I think the most important thing was that it was very intense, a lot of hard work, and something that really woke up to be that time was a deep desire to go overseas. And then that materialized as I came here to Australia to do a master degree in water resources. And during my time at Monash, I think I felt as if maybe as a foreign would have felt in Rome 2000 years ago. I felt that Monash was really the epicenter of the world where great things were happening, where people from different cultures, languages was meeting at the same time. So it was a quite interesting time to be at Monash. And definitely, I think the university gave me lots of tools and was a trampoline to launch that could launch me to the workforce here in Australia. I ended up working for Jacobs, which is a multinational consulting firm in mainly in infrastructure. I work within the water resources team at Brisbane office. The company has offices all around Australia and as well in different countries. So it is a quite amazing place to be. And as well, recently I made part of the beach volleyball team at the Queensland Corporate Games. So that's that photo there. Next slide. Okay, my quotes for motivation, it can always be worse. So as funny as it may sound, I think that always this quote remembers me how lucky I am, regardless of the situation I may be in, and that always there is something positive to rescue. An inspiring figure, Jordan Peterson. So maybe if you don't know who this guy is, he's a professor at a Canadian university. He's a psychologist. And I really find very interesting the content that he produces. So I love the way that he talks to young people because he has great advice to offer and how to set a life project and how to progress with your career. I left there a link just in case you may want to see a bit about him. So out of the questions that the panel sent, I pick a few of them to answer today. So what would I tell myself if I was to go back to uni? So first thing, don't waste your time. I think really time is precious. Second, you will make mistakes. I think as Luna highlighted on her presentation, but just make sure that you do learn from them. Because if you don't learn, the next time it will be harder, the lesson. Uni, no one said that it was going to be easy. Well, that is life. Life is not easy. So don't expect uni to be easy. So really, you have to work hard. Squeeze everything that Monash has to offer. Really, the university has amazing services that Hannah mentioned at the start of this session. Really, Monash is a trampoline to set you up for success. And also take ownership of your learning and your career because no one will do it for you. You are the only responsible of your failure or your success. It's not your professors or your teammates, but yourself. And you have to own that. And then the next question that I picked to answer was if I had any kind words to students in lockdown. So I think that lockdown, I think it is a very relevant question now that almost half of Australia is in lockdown. But lockdowns are a privileged time for being the self-author of your story. And I think that it is a lucky time. And I think that you are, as a cohort of students, you are the lucky cohort of students for multiple reasons, not only on the job market that Australia is currently going through, but also because this is a privileged time of being at this stage of your life, as in being in the status of being students and being in lockdowns. because this is your chance to self-discipline yourself. This is your time to reflect on where you want to get your career and what is it what you are aiming for. And during this time, you are free to choose what to do with your time, because you are not subject to all the external things that usually go around in life. So don't waste that time. Um, I know you can't go out, but there are multiple things that you really can do. So first one, um, your daily routine matters, and it matters a lot. So I think that in lockdown, there are two things that are really hard to get right. The first one is the time that you wake up, and the second one is the time that you go to bed. So if you are able to nail these two, then that's a really big step forward. So get those times right to start getting a routine. Second is study, and study hard, because if you came to Australia as students to study, then make your studying a priority. Then exercise. This really is that thing that you can do to become smarter. I don't think that those online exercises, Sudokus or whatever, will make you smarter, but doing exercise, as in physical exercise, will do. This will increase the amount of blood that goes to your brain, your oxygen, and it will make you stronger on your body and on your mind. Also, write. I think that at uni, we are not told enough why it's important to write. And writing is important because it helps you think, and it helps you to articulate yourself when you are communicating. If you are able to articulate a message, to build arguments, to put together a good presentation, to lay out a proposal, then you will be unstoppable, because that's how you get promoted, that's how you win jobs, that's how you get money. So to be able to write. To start with, by this stage, you may have written a CV and a cover letter. And hopefully, if you have done that right, you would get through the whole recruitment processes. So get yourself the chance to write during this lockdown. If you don't have yet a cover letter or a CV, would be a good time to practice. Also, give yourself the chance to cook and to eat healthy. I think perhaps try one day just to pause Uber Eats and like just ordering food, but give it a go to cooking. I think it is a life skill and worth trying. And trust me, it can be very enjoyable, especially if you eat something that turns out to be delicious and that you can proudly say, I cooked this by myself. Paint, I think this is a great exercise to maybe explore the artist that you have inside and express things that are going on inside. Maybe learn a new language. I think when you learn a new language, and this is something that for sure you all know really well, it gives you the access to knowledge that otherwise you wouldn't be able to access to. Maybe give yourself the opportunity to learn how to play a new instrument. This may help you to connect deeper on your soul. And then also very important, get connected to your family, to your friends, have video calls, make sure you have very interesting conversations, as this is very important to your mental health and well-being. And finally, become amazing. Like, lockdowns is your time to become amazing. Companies are out there looking for amazing people. And same as the gold is tested at high temperatures, lockdowns are those times to be tested. And I would say that if I was to be involved in the recruitment process of a grad. Now, at this point in time, one of my questions would be, what have you done with your time in lockdown? So make sure you are taking advantage of that to become amazing. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Laura. And I can say that you are amazing. All of us are amazing. Everybody's here today is amazing. You are amazing in different way. And please be proud of yourself. Thank you so much for such a touching. To be honest, it's really touching to me. So our presentation, and I will definitely like learn cooking tomorrow. And maybe like the day after, I will be very proud and say, okay, I'm cooking this, I'm cooking that. So
For sure.
yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. And now, last but not least, I want to introduce Kay to be our last alumnus of the night. And I'm pretty sure that Kay can share with us different, a lot of his experience about his journey as a graduate at Monash. And if I'm not wrong, Kay is also a returning alumnus. Like Kay, you did join us last year for Alumni Night 2020. Did you? Didn't you? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure you
did.
did.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for once again. It's our pleasure to have you once again in this year Alumni Night. And here, off you go. Please feel free to share your screen.
So apologies, I could not prepare a presentation like the other speakers. So please bear with me while I go through my journey without a presentation. Hi guys, I'm Kshitij Pandey. You can call me K. I think that's easier. And I think I would like to go back to how my professional career began. So I did a bachelor's in engineering from Mumbai University in IT, and I majored in software engineering. And throughout my last 2 semesters, I did 4 internships, and those 4 internships were from a startup. So I was working as a web developer for all those startups, and I got to learn a lot of things about web development, about databases, about APIs, and those sort of things. And that's what actually helped me get me my first job. Because when I went to the interview, so it was a startup again. Since I got the experience and working with the startup, I was like, I want to only work for startups because I like that culture, I like that openness, I like that learning that you get in a startup, right? So I had an offer from Accenture when I graduated, but I was like, nah, I can't join this company. I can't work in an MNC. Do 9 to 5 and suits and ties. Sorry, I can't do that. So I applied for this junior role in a startup. And when I went for the interviewer just looked at my CV, just looked at my resume, and saw that I had the working experience of internships. And that's it. He did not ask me a single technical question because my resume told everything he wanted to know. So I think the one tip that I would give you is focus on your skills. Doesn't matter what kind of industry or what kind of field are you going for. Focus on skills that are required for that particular industry, right? So for me, I wanted to be a web developer. So I think one of the speakers mentioned that you need to find your interest, right? So that for me, that was from the start. I wanted to work in web development. So from the start, all the internships that I did, all the jobs that I did, I primarily focused on web development. So when I went to the interview for my first job, the interviewer looked at my resume and it was like, dude, you're in. And it was a startup, so we were just like probably 10 people. And what we did was we would take clients from other industries, maybe jewelry or medical, so those sort of industries, and we would help create their projects or websites or apps or whatever they wanted. I worked there for 6 months, and I learned a lot for sure, but I felt like it's not that challenging. I want to do something more. So I quit the job and I joined another startup in Mumbai, and that was a product-based company. That company was making an e-commerce solution where we would track all the users coming to your website, to your e-commerce website, and give analytics over your user behavior. So that was a challenging role. I worked there as a full stack developer, and I worked there for 11 months. And after that, I decided to do my master's, and I came to Monash to do my master's in IT. As soon as I came here, I started looking for jobs. Since I had experience of like 18 months working, like a proper professional experience, I was was only looking for, initially when I came to Australia, I was only looking for technical jobs. And I found a startup again, and I joined that startup as a part-time software engineer. And that company had only like 3 people, including me. So there was the founder, there was another engineer, and there was me, the platform lead for that company, for the product. I worked there for my whole uni life, those 2 years, and I'm still working there part-time. So once a fortnight, I work for that company to help them with their product, with their processes and everything, because it's a startup and they're still trying to develop their product. And after my master's from Monash, since I knew this company would not be able to hire me full-time, again, because startups and funding and those sort of issues, I look for another full-time job. And I currently working as a software engineer for a company called AC3. It's based out of Sydney, and it has offices in New Zealand and Melbourne as well. It's a cloud reseller company. So it's majority, what it does is it takes agencies and government agencies and sells them AWS or Azure Cloud for them to manage. So currently I work there as a software engineer, and my role is sort of like a backend engineer where I work with their integrations and systems and make sure that company processes are running properly for them to sell the cloud to their clients. And that's it for my whole journey. That's how I started my career, and this is where I'm now working as a software engineer. And I think even the last time this event, I only focus on one thing, and that was polish your skills. I've been, again, this kind of could be a little controversial, but do not care about getting HT or D. That's what I did. I never cared about getting good marks. I only cared about getting good skills. If I'm learning a unit, if I'm enrolling in a unit, I make sure I get the maximum learning out of it, right? It doesn't matter what a piece of paper says that you didn't answer these many questions, so I'm giving you a C or I'm giving you a D. It doesn't matter. Focus. First of all, choose the units that you actually want to do, that you're interested in. And if you're choosing a unit, if you're enrolling in a unit, make sure you learn something out of it. Doesn't matter that if you complete 2 assignments and you get an HD, there's no point to it, right? Because when I gave an interview, my interviewer for the current company did not ask me if I got an HD on my assignment, or why did I get a C on my assignment, or why did I get a P on my assignment, right? So focus on your skills. You're an engineer. You're here to solve problems. So make sure you can solve a problem. That's why people will hire you. Nobody's going to hire you because you got an HD in an assignment, right? People will hire you, companies will hire you if you can solve their problems. So I think the only skill, the only tip that I would like to give you guys is focus on your skills, on your interest. Like if you are interested in engineering, if you are interested in IT, make sure you prepare for that field and prepare those skills. And that's it for me. And if you got any questions, I'll be free to ask me.
Thank you so much, Kay. Again, I can't agree more. Like your skills would be something that you want to focus on. Of course, like we don't discourage you to get HD, but definitely like you want to build your skills. Yeah.
Of course.
But definitely you want to focus on your skills, because your skills is the thing that matter. Definitely.
Then if you're focusing on your skills, if you know the thing, you can score HD and assignment easily, right?
Correct.
So focus on that.
Agree. So Natasha, do you have any question in the chat box?
Yeah, so before I open the floor to questions from our attendees, just wanted to say on behalf of MUISS, a big thank you to the amazing alumni that we have here with us tonight. It's very interesting, like despite not being an engineering or an IT student myself, it's been really very enjoying to hear all the hard efforts that you put out throughout your degree to get to where you are today. So just a couple of questions in the chat box, and we are okay for time, a little bit tight for time, but we're still okay. So the first question is from Anastasia, and I think it's for Jason. So she said, thank you for describing your experience from uni to work. She is interested to find out more details about the kind of work that you do as a senior data analyst. And she's asking if you could explain it a little bit more, for example, of a project that you have worked on.
Yep. So thank you for your question, Anastasia. So in terms of being a senior data analyst, I guess I have to say that my consulting experience has not always I guess, been very rigid in terms of the role. It is expected of me to take on many different roles at once. So at the beginning, I have actually been through quite a few different roles, did a bit of developing, then did a bit of more management work, task management, more executive assistant work, and then got into business analysis, and now a more tech developer. So I've actually been through quite a wide range. And I don't think I can give you an answer on in terms of the actual work that a senior data analyst does. What I have been doing for the most part of last year with COVID was more on the business analyst side. So a bit of a disappointment that I can't answer exactly your question. But if you ask me, what does a business analyst do? I'll tell you that we look at the requirements that a client has. So a client is required to have a certain system that has to be built within these specifications because A, of policies, B, of functionalities, and C, of legal reasons. And then we look at the existing process or procedures or systems, and we analyze to see whether it meets those requirements. If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, what do we need to do in order to make it meet the requirements? And I hope that sheds a bit more light on I guess the kind of work that I do as a consultant. It's not always very rigid. It's quite fluid in the roles.
Yep, thank you, Jason. I'm sure that was very informative for Anastasia. Just one last question before we conclude tonight. This one's from Phyllis, and she's asking is there any alumnus who would like to answer? She realized that networking is emphasized, so where do you think is a good starting point to build up on that networking skills?
I am not an alumnus, but I can say that a good starting point is that joining alumni night at MUISS. So congratulations, you did a good starting point today. But I will pass it to the other alumni to answer this question.
I think meetups would be one of those. So before COVID, I used to go to this meetup. So I'm a big JavaScript fan, right? I'm a JavaScript developer, and I love JavaScript. So there was this group who actually meet up every Wednesday, twice a month, every Wednesday, in a place where they would just come and talk about JavaScript. That's it. Right. So look for something, these kind of events. Now everything's online, right? Because of COVID. So there are meetups related to your interest, related to your industry, related to your field. If you're talking engineering, if you're talking IT, there will be meetups, online meetups that you can actually join, and then get to meet people who are actually working in that industry. So I think you could start with that, a meetup, a good meetup.
I'll follow on from Kay. That is like for me in terms of networking. It's always been my volunteering experience. It gave me the experience, and it also gave me the connections with people who then go on to do great things, go on to work on their career, and hopefully they will be able to refer you to a role within their company. Like I said, well, actually I didn't say that, but I will say that now. Referral actually matters a lot. An internal referral is pretty much putting you ahead of everyone else in that pile of applications. I'm still an international student. Well, I'm not a student anymore, but I'm still international. And yet I have had pretty much a very, very easy time getting into EY simply because I had one person who referred me, and that pretty much put me in front of everyone else. So for those of you who are wondering, whether networking is something worthwhile doing, yes, it absolutely is.
If I can jump in, John, if it's still we have time.
We do have time.
I have two things. So one, to answer the question about networking, where to start. it starts at uni. And to me, it started with my professors. So your professors are probably your best to go to, because if they are teaching a subject that you are a student of, is most likely because he's within the field. And granted that Monash professors have amazing connections, because all the time they are competing for funds for carry on with their research projects. And so they know which companies are out there, which research institutions are out there. And in my case, my job at Jacobs came through a professor of Monash. So that's your starting point. Start looking at your professors as your allies. They are not your enemies. And the second point that I wanted to take the advantage of this time is that currently at Jacobs, we are recruiting interns for the summer internship program. So if John thinks that this is the best way to send through the link, so I can send through right now the link. Applications are closing in 5 days. So jump on the website, submit your application. We are currently, Jacobs is currently recruiting in multiple teams. So not only engineering, so in architecture, if there is any architect here, or business, finance, economics, if you are interested in project management. So jump on the website. There are grad intern positions for this summer time. So if John, you tell me if I can send the link through.
Yes, you
to
can.
the
Yes, you can, please.
side. So yeah, just go to that link and give it a go to application, and yeah, just prepare a good CV and a good resume.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so just want to add on Laura's point, because I really agree on that. For me, I also got some professor offering me internship or like, summer research projects. That's all because I was a good student in uni, and people start to notice me, right? So I think the main thing about networking is think about what you can provide, like what's your value, right? If you just go to a meetup or any just random person and ask, can I get a job from you? The answer is probably no, right? Because they don't know you, and why would they, just give you the opportunity? If you want a referral, at least the person needs to know you in some way, right? So I think the good starting point is just to utilize whatever you have currently, like your tutors, your lecturers, or your friends, right? So just try to use that. Make sure that you are doing your work good. You are a responsible team member in your assignments. All these small things matters. Yeah.
I can't believe that the professors actually gave you guys internships. Like, where was mine? I hope you cheated.
Yeah, it happens. Thanks.
And also, I would say that right now, really, when I say that you are a lucky cohort of students, is true. Like the market currently, the job market, it is right now a hot job market. Australia has always had this skills shortage issue, but now it is being felt like really strong. Like companies are struggling on the recruitment processes, because as the borders have shut down, there is not so much people coming in, and so pretty much the competition has reduced to people that is within Australia. So this is a very good time for applying for jobs at this point in time. The market is just on a boom, because as well the government is pushing through a lot of big projects to keep going with the economy, and yeah, it is a great time to jump into the workforce in Australia.
Yep, that is a perfect conclusion for the night. And again, I can't say thank you enough to all of our alumni for joining us today. Thank you so much for the other attendees for joining us today as well. And I have to shout out to my team. Thank you so much, Jesselyn, Natasha, and also Kate and Amir for helping me organizing this helping me like organize this event. And again, thank you so much. I hope that you have got something out of the night. And I if depends on where you are, but I wish you have a good night tonight.
John, just quickly, we have one little question, but from Anna, and I think
Go for it.
if is it the link? Are you asking about the link that Laura put in the chat?
No, sorry, I was just asking about the job market.
Okay.
Oh, I would say it is in not only in engineering, in different sectors as well. There are plenty of opportunities.
That's great to know. Thank you.
I'd like to echo Laura's point as well. It's probably the best time to get a job at the moment. So many openings and everywhere is raising their salaries like crazy because they can't find people. So yeah, lots and lots of opportunities out there.
If I can quickly ask, if that's okay, John.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys notice, like Laura and Jason, do you notice that like inside your companies, like in your roles, do you see how companies are like looking for more? Like, do you have missing like vacancies or like just roles that are not fulfilled? Are you talking like from that experience as well?
I can speak for especially my team in EY is that we have more projects and more vacancies to fill on projects than we actually have people. So at the moment, I'll also say that at EY, they don't take graduate as internationals. However, they do take lateral hires. So any role that is a non-graduate role is absolutely fine for anyone who's international or not international. In fact, my manager at EY, she used to be international student as well. And she has gotten herself citizenship after working with EY. So yeah, but yeah, back to your point, yes, massive vacancies. I believe we're currently aiming to hire one person per day for the team. So yeah.
Yeah, I can also tell from what I see within the company and within our team, a massive lack of applications, as in we are not getting enough applicants through our job adverts, but at the same time, like quite hard to find the right skills that we are looking for. So, and the competition at the moment is for getting the best people in is quite hot. Like literally, recruiters are going through LinkedIn profiles, sending messages, hey, would you like to come to us? Like, it's not like, if that's another one, like your LinkedIn should be very nice by this point. So if you have a nice LinkedIn with your capabilities, as in what software you know how to use and things like that, you may be as lucky that recruiters just on their search engine, like I need someone that knows how to use this specific software, and if you have it there, maybe you can come through their shortlisted people and the job will arrive to you with that you're looking for it. So get your LinkedIn quite nice, presentable with all your skills, because yeah, like we can see it from within. I can see it within Jacobs. There are heaps of vacancies at the moment, and we are looking intensely for people.
Amazing. If it's okay with everyone, we'll take one final question for the night, just because we're running a little bit over time. So this question's from Chingy, and it's for Luna and Kay. I am studying in the first semester of Master of IT, and I have no background in IT, but I would like to become a software engineer. Do you guys have any tips in becoming one? Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I'll take this one first, because I actually come from a bachelor degree with no IT related things. I was doing a Bachelor of Journalism and Communications. So I have never written any hello world before I joined Monash, right? So I completely come from a no background kind of position. And I think for me, the first semester is just try to keep up with all the teaching materials. So I got all HD for that semester. And yeah, I just start to build a really strong foundation, right? Because if you don't even understand what the teachers are talking about, how are you going to, success in your career? So I think for those kind of people from no background, focus on whatever the teacher or the Monash is offering you first. If you feel comfortable enough, then start to do some side projects. And also try to build connections with your peers, because I also learned from a lot of my teammates or the classmates. I try to ask them questions. We try to form like a study group kind of thing, because in IT it's usually a teamwork, so you can't just solo. Yeah.
So my background has been totally of a software engineer. My bachelor's was, my major was software engineering. My master's major was software engineering. So as a software engineer, and I would like to, I think, to give a tip for someone who doesn't have an IT background. I think so. Software engineering is all about problem solving, right? You're an engineer. You need to engineer a solution to an existing problem, right? So think about that. Like Luna said, build your foundations. Build your foundation. Foundations are really, really necessary. You need to have a solid background, a solid foundation. Since you are from a non-IT background, you need to focus that heavily, right? And also focus on problem solving, right? It doesn't matter what kind of programming language are you using. Java, JavaScript, Python, doesn't matter. What a software engineer does is it solves problem, right? So focus on problem solving skills. How you can solve a problem, given a scenario or something like that, right? So if your foundations are clear and you know how to solve a problem, you're employable, right? People will hire you. That's what they're looking for. You know your shit and you know how to solve problem, and that's what a software engineer does. So I think just focusing on your foundations and having that capability to solve problem, no matter how complex it is, I think that will take you really far in your career.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Problem solving is crucial, because for me, I think a lot of starters try to focus on learning new frameworks, but that's actually wrong, right? You need to really focus on your logic and your problem solving skills, and just stick to one thing, like React, if you want to do front end. Don't try to explore all the technologies there, because there's no time for you to learn all of them, and you're just going to be misled by those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine to have a favorite language or a favorite tool, right? But you shouldn't be just dependent on that tool.
Yeah,
any kind of problem requires different solutions, different tools that you can use to solve that problem. So learning how to solve problems is the necessary step, rather than learning just the tool. First step is to learning how to solve problems. So I think build on that.
Cool. Hopefully we answer the questions. Yeah, just feel free to reach out to me or Kay on LinkedIn or whatever channel. Yeah, we're happy to answer more questions.
Lovely. I hope that you guys enjoy the night, and I hope that we can conclude it. So once again, thank you so much. Oh my God, I so appreciate it. I hope that I can see you guys like possibly like again next year as a returning alumni for MUISS Alumni Night 2022 if we have one. And again, thank you so much. Next week we will have another alumni night in health sciences and pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences. Tonight, like all of our alumni are quite going out there, work in the industry. But next week we will have some alumni who chose a different pathway to stay and do research, PhD, and more academic. So if you're in, and also we have physicians who are doctor working outside, practice outside as a doctor. So feel free to join us next week if you are interested. Again, thank you so much, and I will call it a night. Good night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
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 Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good
Thank you,
night.
John.
See ya.
See you.